December 14th, Brian Howard. Welcome to 365 Christian Men, where every day we aim to inspire and encourage with real-life stories about men. Brian is a man who serves Jesus with his whole life, every day. Where he works, the students and teachers call him Mr. Howard. By his work, his example, and his speech, he calls them into the kingdom of God. On this date, in 2017, Brian won top honors as a math coach.
Risk opening up about your experience. It could be the opening that someone needs. Brian Howard had a couple of important jobs, and both of them involved middle grade kids. Principal Howard guided kids at school, and he also led at the local church's Bible club. One night during church in the sanctuary, Principal Howard noticed Brandon, one of his middle school students. And this was the second or third time that Brandon had attended Bible club. Like other 8th graders, Brandon was willing to listen to anyone, even Mr. Howard, talk for a few minutes if it meant he would get to play for the church's basketball league. The basketball league drew kids who otherwise probably would not be there, but it seemed as if Brandon and Mr. Howard lived worlds apart. Brandon had been in the principal's office a few times, and not to talk about basketball. If things didn't change, Brandon's consistent misbehavior was certain to land him in the county's alternative school. Mr. Howard tried to get through to Brandon, but the boy couldn't see how Mr. Howard could ever understand his situation. In his mind, Brandon had a picture of the kind of kid God would like. Brandon figured God only liked someone just like Mr. Howard, and Brandon would never fit that image. He had tons of baggage from his past, and his present circumstances weren't much better. His grades were so bad, they were under the scum at the bottom of the pond. And he and his parents faced truancy court because of his poor attendance. Mr. Howard had asked God to help him get through to Brandon before it was too late. So at the Bible club meeting, when Mr. Howard saw Brandon in the audience, he smiled. Maybe God was answering his prayer. Mr. Howard openly shared about having come from a broken home. He told how before his parents decided to separate, he often felt torn between them. His dad drank heavily, and neither of them were particularly the church-going kind. To escape his bad family life, Mr. Howard said that when he was a young teen, he started smoking marijuana and drinking alcohol. Maybe Mr. Howard and Brandon weren't so different after all. After the separation, because the dad worked late, Brian couldn't bear coming home to an empty house. He usually stayed out late with his friends and went home when there was nowhere else to go. That pattern continued for a long time, until one night he found his father lying dead on his bedroom floor. His dad had suffered a fatal heart attack. For months, Brian blamed himself for his father's death. If only he had come home earlier, maybe he could have gotten his father to the hospital in time. The what-ifs tormented him to the point of attempting suicide. Luckily, one of Brian's friends intervened, and this was the turning point in his life. He faced the reality that trying to escape his pain through drugs and alcohol only made things worse. That's when he decided to turn to the Lord for help. And he experienced the amazing grace of God in his own life. God showed him great mercy. Mr. Howard begged the audience to realize that God uses real-life, flawed people to show off his acceptance, forgiveness, and grace. That night, Brandon hung on to every word. It was as if Mr. Howard was telling Brandon's life story. He often felt the same way. Mr. Howard's story pierced Brandon like a knife. Maybe he had the wrong ideas about God and the people who follow him. Maybe he could put his past behind him just like Principal Howard had. He decided to ask Mr. Howard if they could talk, and this time he would listen. In the Bible, in Jude 1, verse 22, it says, "Be merciful to those who doubt." God has a way of taking the bad parts of our story and using it to inspire and encourage others. Is there someone in your life that you can encourage by sharing your story? Risk opening up about your experience. It could be the opening someone needs.
Hello, my name is George Morrison, and I pastored in the Denver metro area for some 35 plus years. And now we have a ministry called Truth and Life Ministries where we travel and teach on leadership. Our story today is about a man by the name of Brian Howard. Now, when I listened to this story, there was actually two things that stuck out to me. Here was a man that you could say had just an ordinary position in life as a middle school principal, but he did it in an extraordinary way. He also taught a Bible study for young people of the same age, middle school agers. And the thing that stuck out was that here was a man that just went about life, did life, but he opened himself up to be used of God, to pour into these young people one message, and that was the message of Christ's transformation power. The other thing that stood out to me is that as he shared, he opened up and was honest about what his life was about, and how even through hardships early on in his life, he came to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. And then he passed this on to the young people. Our challenge today is never think that your job is just ordinary, because you can take that ordinary position and use it in an extraordinary way for the kingdom of God. I can't think of a more fulfilling or more rewarding thing to do in life, but just to share in a very simplistic way how Christ has transformed you. And to go out of our way just to pour into other people. Wherever God places us, pour into other people what God can do in their life. So I challenge you today is don't think of your position as just ordinary, but think it as an opportunity to do extraordinary things for Christ. You know, 365 Men is expanding, and we're expanding into 365 Women. In 2026, we're launching this ministry, this next stage of the ministry, and we're encouraging you to share with the women in your life and ask them to share with their friends and family about 365 Women. It's coming in 2026. Another way in order to encourage Christians in their faith, but also to touch women where they're at with the stories that will be shared about 365 Women. God bless you, and thank you for listening today.